This is the Module 4 introduction video. So in Module 4, you're going to start working on your EPI reports. And so I'd like to spend some time in this introductory video talking about my expectations of the report, how I plan for you to build them, as well as some other tips and tricks at the end of this video that I think will help you once you actually start building the report. So on Canvas this week, you're going to see this assignment that you have right here. So this is for the introduction, and there'll be some other notes and things. But I just want to talk generally about this assignment in this video. So previously in Module 3, you worked on 3 separate worksheets and you worked on them individually. And so really the purpose of the Module 3 assignments was to help you to start brainstorming and to gather information to work on this report. So now that you have went through the brainstorming portion and everyone in your group has gone through that same portion, it's now time to collect that information together to start building your reports. And so as I've got in the syllabus, team science is a really important aspect of this course. And once you enter the workforce, you'll find that, working as a team is a really critical piece of what you're most likely going to be doing. And one of the reasons I developed this course or constructed it the way that I have is I want you all to experience what teamwork is like, once you get out in the workforce. So, when I was in school and I was taking classes, when teamwork would come up, teamwork often meant, well, let's take one assignment, split it into 3 sections, everyone works individually, and then we throw it together at the end. This is not meant to be like that. Team science is really when everyone has collectively thought about, the project or the topic at hand, and then everyone uses their strengths to help make that final product as good as it can be. And so that's really what I want to see come out of your groups. Since everyone does all the background pieces, the brainstorming separately, now everyone has the opportunity to come together and really use your strengths to help make the report the best that it can be. So you may find that someone in your group is going to be really good at the visual pieces. Someone is really good at editing. If you need to go find some extra information, later on you're going to have to do some coding. So you might have someone in your group that's really good at the coding aspect, and even though everyone else will have already coded, maybe they can clean up the code or add on some things. So I really want you to think of what is it that your strengths are and how you can contribute those to your group. And so again, in this module is when you're really going to start working with your groups and bringing together these different pieces of information. So for example, everyone individually thought of research questions. So now is a time for you to sit together and look at those potential research questions and decide, what direction your group wants to go in for your EPI profile. And you may find that, one of your other group members had this excellent research question that you didn't even think of, and you think, oh, okay, this is the direction that we want to go. The other thing that I want to talk about is not only is the team science aspect important, but also the overall structure of this report. Typically, when you have to write a report for school, you think of, you've got these very defined directions, pretty much exactly what goes in each section, beforehand exactly what you're looking for. This report is not going to be like that. Typically in the real world, when we do data analysis, part of the data analysis is this exploration phase. We're going to go through and explore the data, and until we do that, we don't really know what we're going to find. And so your report is going to be like that because you're going to be doing real data analysis. So to start out with in your introduction, you're just looking for general information that you're going to include. And then as you go and you actually analyze the data and you start to look more at the variables, you may have to go back and tweak what was in your introduction. So as you work on these different report drafts, I want you to realize this is going to be an iterative process. You're going to continually go back and look at your previous work, and you may need to change things, make some tweaks and things. So don't feel like once this draft is done, we're going to put it away and never look at it again. That really isn't the case. And you may find this process a little bit uncomfortable, and that's perfectly fine. I'm here to help facilitate, this process with you, and hopefully it turns out to be a really good learning experience. Now, in terms of expectations for the report, one of my biggest expectations, again, is for everyone to work in a group and to participate in the group work portion. In terms of the report itself, I expect for these reports to be visually appealing, as well as in terms of clarity to be very clear for the reader. So go back and have a look at the EPI report examples that you'll have. You'll notice these are not just plain boring documents that, are double spaced, typed in Word, your like typical thing that you would turn in for class. These are professional documents that you could see, at a Department of Public Health. And so I anticipate that the work that you turn in to have, those visual aspects to it. Someone should be drawn to this report, want to pick it up, want to read it. And if you have questions about that, please feel free to ask. But you've got those examples. Look at those examples, see how they're structured visually. And again, I expect what you turn in to be very similar. Also, I expect things like a creative title, for example. Keeping a broad title like Preventative Health in Kentucky, that's not going to be good enough. I want to see that you've really thought about your topic, you've made your title visually, you've made your title creative and appealing for someone, again, that they want to pick up and read this report that you have written. Now, once you actually get into this module, again, you're going to see these directions, and you're going to see that you've got more information here, specifically what has to be on the cover sheet, what needs to be in the introduction, and then of course, you can always ask me, any questions or any clarity that you need on these. Now, what I'd like to do for the rest of this introduction video, and you may just want to pause the video at this point and come back to this later on, there's a couple things that I want to show you in this video that may be useful as you actually get in and your report and you're creating the report, so a couple visual things. The two things I'm going to show you in the rest of this video is I'm going to show you how to make a cover sheet in Canva, and then I'm going to show you how to take that same cover sheet and move that into Word. So Canva is one of the things that I'll recommend in the notes for you to make a really nice cover sheet in, but you don't want to type your entire report in Canva. So I'll show you just briefly how you can make a cover sheet, move it into Word. The other thing that I'm going to show you into Word is how to make headers and subheaders in Word, so that when you go later on in the course to create your table of contents, it's going to make that really easy for you. So again, if you haven't started, actually working on the report or, looked through the assignment, stop the video here, but just keep in mind to come back to this video when you actually go to make your cover sheet and to start working on your report. All right, so the first thing I'm going to show you is in Canva, how to create a nice looking cover sheet. So what I've got pulled up here, this is Canva. If you've never been to Canva before, Canva is a great website that helps with making all sorts of things, whether it be flyers, whether it be, PowerPoint slides, pretty much whatever it is you're looking to do, or presentation slides, I guess I should say. You can create all kinds of nice things in Canva. So for Canva, we are going to want an 8x11 cover sheet because that's what you're going to fit into your report. So up here on custom size, if you type in an 8x11, which is your standard piece of paper, and be careful, I realize you actually want to do the inches first and then do it 8x11. And then we're going to create a new design. It's just going to come up with a blank design right here. Now there are all sorts of templates, so you can scroll through here and just start with a template. You notice as I hover over them, some of them say free, some of them say pro. I would definitely use one of the free ones. There's no need to pay for one. So let's say you use this cover right here. So you can click on this, and then it gives you the option. You can go in here and you can change text, delete text. Make this say whatever you want. You can also come over here on the left. If you click on elements, you'll notice that there are all different kinds of graphics. Lots of these are free, and you can just move stuff around. You can change the size. So you can pretty much make this cover sheet however you want it to look. And Canva will save this for you, so I would sign up for a free account so that this gets saved. So let's say that you had this cover sheet looking exactly the way that you want it. You went through here, you found your images. How do you get this into Word? So the easiest way to do this is to click on download, and I would download it just as a PNG. And you'll download that. It's going to go into your downloads folder on your computer. you can save that to wherever you want to save it, but do make sure that you know where it is on your computer. So often after I download, I will click Show in Folder. That's going to open up here on your computer the file, and then usually what I do is I will just cut that and then I'll paste it into a folder of my choosing. So I'm going to move it into, I realize you can't see this on the screen, but off screen here I am moving this into the folder that I have for this class. All right, so now how do we get this into Word? So here I have a brand new Word document. I just started this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Insert, Pictures from this device. And then now I need to go through and I need to find that PNG file that I just downloaded. And here is that file. And you'll notice to start out with, it's just going to place it in the middle, but the sizing's not going to be great. You are going to have some pretty big margins here. So notice if I try to stretch it, it's going to restrain it. To fix this, if you click on this icon here, really what we want is we don't want the text wrapping. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place it in front of text. And I don't want it to move with text, I just want it to be free. So we're going to fix the position on the page, click away, and now I can click and drag this a little bit easier, and I can just kind of play with it until it takes up the full screen. So you may have to manipulate it a little bit, but if you keep on playing with it, we can eventually get it to where it pretty much takes up the full page. And so that's how you can make a nice looking cover sheet in Canva, but then move it over to Word. And one more that way. There we go. And now I have a nice cover sheet in Word that takes up the full page. Now, the one thing you do have to be careful of is, of course, now we need to figure out where our cursor is. It's a little bit hidden here. So one thing that you could do is go up to Insert, and you could insert a cover page. And so you'll notice that Word has some pre-made ones that you could select from, or, so that would be an alternative to Canva. Or if I move this down and I can see where my cursor is now, I can go to Insert Blank Page and then move this over to the first page, and now I'm over here where I can type. So any of those options will work. Just play around with it a little bit, but that way you can make a nice looking image in Canva, move it over here, or you could just insert a cover page from Word and use those. I do think the ones from Canva look nicer. Alright, so the next thing that I want to show you is how to do headers and subheaders in Word, and this will come in really nice later on if you want to enter a table of contents. So to do this, let's say that you want to start out with a header. Okay, so I'm just going to type header here. On the home page in Word, you may have never really paid much attention to this style section. The style section can help you define headers and subheaders. So if we highlight what we want to be the header and click on heading 1, that will now make this an official header. And we can see this because it's got the little arrow next to it. Now, why these are really nice is because now if I go in and I put in a bunch of normal text, everything that is under this header, if I click the arrow, it will collapse it. So I can hide different sections. And then let's say within this header I want a subheader. So I would type whatever, text I want my subheader to be. I can highlight it. And then if I click on header 2, I now have a subheader under my header. And same thing, you would be able to collapse those. Notice when I collapse the header, it will collapse everything under it, including the subheaders. But if I had a header 2, and I click on the first header, it only collapses everything under it. And subheaders will only collapse everything under the subheaders. Now, if you don't like the way that these look by default, you can change these. So for example, on the header 1, If I highlight it and I come up here, I can click Modify, and now I can go through and I can make this header look however I want. It'll give me a little preview down here. And then what I can do, if I decide I want all of them to look this way, I can click on Automatically Update, and notice it updated both of them. And then you can then save that for later use. So I would really recommend doing your headers and your subheaders this way. And the other reason that this is useful is later on, after you've worked on all of your report, you're going to have to create a table of contents. If you go up to, sorry, I have to remember where it is here. If you go to References and you click on Table of Contents, Word will build you an automatic table of contents. So we could do Automatic Table 1. And notice what it did. Oops, let me actually go back here. I was in the middle of there. So if I go to Insert, Table 1, notice it automatically inserts my table of contents here. There's my text. And so notice it has the header, subheader, and header 2. Those are the headers and subheaders that I put in. And then you could always go to Insert, Page Break to have an automatic page break that occurs under your table of contents. So again, you're not going to have to actually build the table of contents until much later on. You've written a lot more, but if you go ahead and use the automatic headers and subheaders that are in Word as you write your report, that's going to make that a lot easier. All right, so there's just a couple tips and tricks for when you go to write your reports. As always, if you have any questions, you need help with any of this, please let me know. I'm more than happy to walk through these kinds of things and to help you see how to do the formatting.